The Grand Galactic Council had gathered in full assembly, a sight seen only when matters of cosmic survival were at stake. The silver crescent of the council chamber floated at the heart of the spiral core, its walls shifting with faint streams of energy. Every species of standing had a representative seated in rows that curved like a massive halo around the central platform. Murmurs rippled across the hall, whispers carried in 100 dialects and wavelengths, all revolving around one single name: Earth. For centuries, Earth had been dismissed. The blue planet sat on the edge of an unremarkable arm, distant, isolated, ignored. The council had once labeled it a developing world, a polite way to say insignificant. It possessed no influence, no empire, no colonies known beyond its own star. Yet now, data was flooding in from the outer perimeters. Fleets erased, stations silent, sectors plunged into blackout zones where light itself seemed devoured. The council speaker rose. A tall being of translucent form, its voice vibrated through the chamber. "We have received new transmissions from the Rim. They carry warnings from those who survived contact." The speaker gestured and holographic projections filled the air. Shattered fleets, fragmented hulls, silent debris fields turning endlessly through black void. They came without warning. No signal, no demand. Only action. Across the tiers, representatives hissed and rumbled in alarm. "Who dare strike at council fleets?" one demanded. No known power wields such force. The speaker turned toward the intelligence division. "We trace their origin. The signature is not alien. It is human." A sudden stillness engulfed the room. Even the translator drones paused before catching up to echo the word. "Human?" another voice asked. "You mean those primitive mammals? They vanished from council records 3 millennia ago." The intelligence officer nodded. "That is correct. They withdrew after being denied membership. They disappeared soon after, dismantled their gates, sealed their system. For ages they remained quiet." The speaker lowered its gaze. "Until now." The screen shifted again, revealing the data recovered from the wreckage of the first destroyed armada. There was a symbol burned across the remains, a circle divided by 3 intersecting lines, perfectly symmetrical. This mark was found on every hull they touched. "Meaning?" another demanded. The officer hesitated. "Meaning it's a warning. The humans have returned, and they are no longer the same species we remember." Far away from the luminous core, deep within a region of darkness once called the Silent Expanse, humanity had built what no other species dared attempt. After centuries of isolation, the people of Earth had turned inward, harnessing their warlike past and their relentless drive for mastery into creation. They no longer sailed in fragile ships of metal and fuel. They had learned to command the invisible matter that filled the cosmic void. Dark matter, once a mystery, now their weapon, armor, and engine. The fleet of Sol, humanity's armada, did not shine. It did not reflect light or emit heat. It moved as a distortion, bending the space it traveled through. Every ship was a ghost, unseen until it chose to reveal itself. Each bore names that whispered of storms, of vengeance, of the endless night humanity had endured. At the core of this fleet was a vessel unlike any other, the Obsidian Crown. It stretched the length of a moon, silent and smooth, shaped not by design but by purpose. Its command bridge was dim, illuminated only by the faint glow of consoles tracing gravitational waves. The commander stood at the viewing chamber, watching the ripples of distant galaxies. He was human, eyes sharp, movements calm, voice measured. "Report. Phase anchors are holding," replied his second. "Council forces continue to mass at the central gate. They don't believe we're human." The commander's lips tightened. "Then they will learn." The council, in desperation, summoned every fleet. Across thousands of worlds, ships were armed, systems aligned, weapons charged. They expected an invasion from the shadows and prepared to crush it before it reached the core. But humanity never moved in haste. Their fleets waited, silent, invisible, just beyond the sensor limits of the council's greatest technology. For every star the council claimed, humanity had mapped 10 more in the dark. For every weapon the council wielded, humanity had perfected one that did not need to be seen to strike. Then came the night the stars went out. Every sensor, every relay, every outpost across the inner rings reported the same phenomenon. The sky dimmed. The stars blinked one after another, swallowed by an advancing horizon of nothingness. Communications failed. Systems collapsed. And from that consuming void, a single voice echoed across every channel in 1,000 languages. Stand down. The message carried no threat, no arrogance, only calm certainty. But that tone alone froze even the most defiant commanders. It was the voice of a species that had seen extinction and chosen to rise beyond it. The Council fleets opened fire. Space erupted in colorless fury. Energy lances, plasma bursts, quantum warheads all fired into the darkness. Yet every strike vanished before impact, devoured by unseen gravity wells. When the firing ceased, the void answered back. From the darkness the human fleet emerged, not shining, not glowing, but visible only by how it bent the light around it. Then the obsidian crown moved. Its main array activated, spreading patterns of gravitational distortion so precise they sliced through the fabric of space. Whole squadrons vanished, torn from reality, erased in silence. The Council fleet scattered in panic. On the Council homeworld, emergency alerts flared. Observers watched as their finest armadas were erased without sound, without flame, without trace. One by one, the signals died. The speaker demanded answers. Who are they, truly? What have they become? The intelligence division worked relentlessly, decoding fragments of intercepted transmissions. After hours of analysis, they found something chilling. It was a log entry, archived from before humanity's disappearance. A declaration they had written when they left the Council long ago. The entry began simply. We came to offer alliance. You called us violent. You feared our potential, so we will withdraw and you will forget our name. But one day when your arrogance births your end, you will call for help again. Then you will remember who we are. The final line bore the signature of an old Earth phrase, one no translation device could fully interpret. But when the archivists traced it, the truth struck like thunder. It was not Earth. That was not their real name. The humans had called their home Terra, and in ancient galactic language, Terra meant something far older, something feared. It meant the origin of war. The realization spread through the Council like wildfire. All this time they had mistaken the quiet planet for a lost relic. They had dismissed the very birthplace of galactic soldiers, thinkers, and conquerors. Now they faced a civilization forged in isolation, perfected by struggle, and returned as something unstoppable. Entire systems begged for mercy. The Council tried to open communication, to plead for ceasefire, but the humans did not answer. They did not negotiate. They did not threaten. They advanced only until every Council weapon went silent. Then without warning, they stopped. The obsidian crown halted its movement before the core worlds, engines idling like the breath of a sleeping storm. The commander stood before his crew. Transmit the message, he ordered. A signal spread through every open channel, every world, every ship. It carried no distortion, no encryption, only words. We are not your enemy unless you make us one. You called us primitive. You called us dangerous. You were correct. We learned that peace cannot exist without strength. We came not to conquer, but to remind you what you chose to forget. The voice paused. You called us humans, but we remember our name. We are the children of Terra. We are the storm your ancestors warned you about. Silence followed. Across the galaxy, not a single transmission replied. Every leader, every soldier, every citizen who heard those words felt the same thing. A weight pressing on their soul. A realization that the quiet world they mocked had returned as judgment. The Council speaker trembled. If they wished, they could destroy us. The intelligence officer nodded. Yet they do not. Perhaps they seek only recognition. Recognition? The speaker's tone cracked. Then we shall give it. Before the galaxy is unmade, the Council assembled one final decree. Across every world, every record, every database, a correction was made. The archives were rewritten. The name Earth was erased. In its place, a single word appeared. Terra. Decades passed. The galaxy rebuilt, scarred but alive. The Council remained, humbled. They never spoke of the war directly. The official archives called it the silence of the core. But in every academy, every training hall, and every new world, the same lesson was whispered. Never forget the name Terra. Humanity retreated again into the dark, not as fugitives but as watchers. They returned to their own frontier, leaving behind warnings etched in gravity, messages readable only by those who could understand their science. The Council learned to live with that silent shadow at the edge of their maps. Sometimes explorers claimed to see dark ships moving beyond known space, silent and vast. They said the stars around them flickered as if bowing. They said the void whispered in their minds, reminding them that the children of Terra still walked the galaxy. And whenever conflict threatened to rise again, when empires sought to dominate the weak, a single transmission would echo through the networks. It was never signed, and